with Hotstar coming on board and taking the show, it's reaching so many homes. Do you think that, that has also been its own journey for you?
I mean, absolutely. The power of Hotstar lies in its massive reach. Disney Plus Hotstar has been like a huge blessing to Coffee with Karan. In space, I think that you lose a little bit of that, which is what I'm just sharing with you like all the inside chatter that went behind Coffee with Karan, and we kept coming back to finding a replacement to Rapid Fire.
Oh, man.
And the sad thing is, like, people are much more worried now than they were in the first 3 seasons, because nobody wants a PR nightmare, right? Like, nobody wants to be like getting into, so everyone is so careful that you have to kind of make sure that you eventually change the language of the Rapid Fire, so at least you'll get something. Otherwise people are like, there were times where people have answered with abandon. Like most overrated, most underrated, and I'm like, answers were just flowing. Today, I wouldn't answer those. How can I expect them to? We all have to somewhere be, we're in a very sensitive climate always. Like, social media has made us so much more sensitized to sensitivity. So everyone is so much more sensitive about what they're saying, what they're expected to say. Fan clubs get angry, and I don't want any of that. Like, eventually a talk show that's meant to be fun, you have to have fun with. Who wants the downside of any of this? Like, I'm inviting them, they come for their absolute love for me and their relationship with me, and I have to protect that. It's like घर में अगर आपने मेहमान को बुलाया, you don't want them to go back feeling कि, I have a bad stomach. They want to go back home feeling like, Arey yaar, we were well taken care of. And
I mean, they always say that you need a shot of coffee to wake you up, but this is coffee in its wokest avatar in 2023, and I want to give you a hand for walking that line so gracefully, because we have to be sensitive, and at the same time, we have to have fun. And if there's one show that's doing that right now, it's Coffee with Karan. All right, thank you for the consensus. My favorite episode, and let me just go straight off the bat, Ranveer Deepika. Oh my God, that video. Thank you. Thank you.
I have nothing to do with that video. The beauty, the romance, the intensity, the emotion of that video comes from both of them, from their hearts and souls. And it was their idea to share that with us. And I was very, very, very touched. And I'm very grateful to both Ranveer and Deepika for actually sharing with not just me, but the entire world, a very private part of their lives. Those 4 minutes are possibly one of the most precious 4 minutes of Coffee with Karan in its entirety. And I say that spanning 8 seasons, because it takes a very large and generous heart to share the way they did. Because it was many years after their marriage, and it could have very easily not been shared. And I never asked for it. I never asked for it, and I got it. And I feel it's the first time on Coffee with Karan where I got much more than I bargained for. Yeah.
So I picked my favorite episode. I'm going to quickly go around this place, look at faces, and say, what's yours? Kuch Kuch Hota Hai reunion. Oh, I'm living for this. Thank you.
Listen, in that episode, like, I felt like I couldn't stop laughing. It was just hilarious. It was, and there was nothing, it was not, I thought that, is it going to really come across funny, or am I only finding them mad? Because like I was mad, they were mad, and we were just laughing. At one point I had to get up because my stomach was hurting. Because I was like, we were just laughing. It was inane. And then it realizes that we've gone back so many decades together that obviously we have a camaraderie that is like kind of special. And it was, even with Sid and Varun, these reunions have really worked out well. And Sid and Varun actually haven't done an interview at all in the last 11 years together. So when we got them together, again, like they were just hilarious. Like Varun always says funny things unintentionally. But like when he said he goes boating with his wife, I was like, that totally had me. And I was like, when did you go boating with Natasha? Like, when did this happen?
I'm boating tonight.
Any of us Mumbaikars will know that it's not in our top 10 things to do, Like we don't go boating, You can walk, you can dance, you can go and say, I've gone and seen a movie, I've gone theatre experiences, had fun here, had fun there, but boating is not something that I would come across here.
Gems from the season. Favorite episode? Is it possible to ask Karan Johar what his favorite episode is from this season?
I mean, I can't answer that question.
Of course not.
In fact, I've enjoyed all of them. I have to say that each one of them was special in its own way, and that is an absolutely politically correct answer. And I'm going to stick with it.
Thank God there are no hampers right now.
Yeah, because I'm not winning anything at the end of this, so I'm not saying it. And they've all come with lots of love in their heart, and I'm not choosing.
Oh my God. All right, so then I think it's time to let you do some questions, right? So we have a mic, it'll pass around. Obviously, you'll address your question to Karan Johar, not me, so go for it.
Hi, Karan.
Hi.
Karan, my favorite was Vicky and Kiara after Sid and
Right.
Varun. But I want to know from you, what was the best moment from this episode for you? What was the highlight
I'm telling
apart
you,
from
the fact
age?
that
Apart
well, actually, it
from
was
that
rather
age.
sweet hearing about Kiara's proposal story. I thought it was like quite sweet when she spoke about how Sid proposed to her in Rome, and of course, I knew that had happened. But it's like what I love is when people actually drop their guard and share bits of their personal life that no one else would know about, or no other show or interview would have access to. I thought that was sweet, and I just thought Vicky was like wonderful throughout. Like, he has such an easy personality on camera. Like, he's just so himself all the time. I feel like that's how he comes across when he puts up a Punjabi rap video, or when he gives an unabashedly brilliant performance in Sam Bahadur and everything that he's done. Kiara has such a gorgeous, real energy, and I just thought like so much of that episode was so lovely. There are few episodes that keep you smiling throughout, and that was one of them.
Hi, Karan sir. My question to you is, you had revealed, in one of the episodes that there was a period of time when you were not on talking terms with Kareena and Kajol.
Yeah.
I mean, a little bit of that is also mentioned in your book.
Yeah.
But for those who do not know, do you want to say a little more about that? And do you think that period has strengthened your bond with them?
I mean, absolutely. They're not. Well, with time, you realize that the relationships go through ups and downs. I never want to go back to the time when we weren't speaking, because those are times that I feel I lost out on precious time with two women I absolutely love. I'm just glad that today we are even stronger as friends, as family. And in fact, it's bizarre, because when I speak about, I never thought that Kareena and I would have children at the absolute same time. I always wondered because I was an older parent. Like, when I had my kids, I was 44 years old. And I kept thinking in my heart that, I'm going to obviously be the oldest person in a PTA meeting, or on a WhatsApp group, or in a birthday party. And that's so far from the truth, because Kareena had Taimur at 2 months prior to Yash and Ruhi's birth, and Rani had Adira a year before. And I was like, these are two of my closest friends, and they both actually, have kids around the same age. And if you see Kajal with my kids, it's like she's becomes one of them. And I'm just so glad that I have this support system of all these friends. Because when you're a single parent, you have to know one thing, that you do need, barring the fact that I'm eternally grateful to the universe for my mother and how she co-parents Yash and Ruhi with me, but I'm also very grateful for my friends, because they're all there. They're all there with all their hearts. And so even though we went through a phase, I'm just glad that we are even stronger today. And I think what doesn't break you makes you stronger.
Thank you for that beautiful question. After you, there is a girl with with her hand up for a while. Yes, ma'am, you. Yes. Would you just raise, just stand up so that they can give you a mic later? That's okay, ma'am. We'll come to you after. Okay, thank you. Yes, Ankita, please go ahead.
Hi, Karan.
Hi.
Karan, this season was special because you brought up a topic which nobody thought a pop culture show like this would bring up. That's anxiety.
Yeah.
And not just about anxiety, you spoke about your battle with it, how you dealt with it. What prompted you to actually come out and speak about it at such a big platform? And post you have done so, what's the impact you have seen? How have people taken it in court?
So I think that what happened on that episode was organic. It wasn't planned. If you know and have followed the seasons, a lot of it is unplanned. A lot of the conversation is just flows. I felt at that point of time when I saw that beautiful video of Deepika and Ranveer's, I felt like, apart from the fact that you talk about your loneliness, but you also, because Deepika has expressed herself in the public domain about her depression and the fact that she has even a foundation, you know, that deals with it with such absolute brilliance. I had to say that, you know, it was something that I felt like I needed to share, because I feel like a lot of us as public figures, you go through things, and I feel if you touch on those topics, you're empowering many others to also speak about it. And I feel like I have been through in 2016 a phase where I discovered I was going through anxiety. Then, you know, you get better, and then it does come back again sometimes, you know, and it came back again for me at the beginning of this year. And what you do is you address it, and you have to, the first thing is you acknowledge it, and then you address it. All of us can go through, can all have, what happens to me or what happens to anybody else can happen to anybody. It can happen, and it doesn't mean you need a trigger. Sometimes it's a result of many things. Sometimes there is a trigger. But when I spoke about my anxiety, it was also to share a part of my life that really exists, and it's a part that exists today as well. And while I speak, I have absolutely no fear in saying that I'm on medication, and I feel much better today because I seek the help, and I think we need to. Sometimes you feel that, you know, you can speak to a family member and you can speak to a close friend, and maybe that is therapy in itself. But there are professionals who can actually guide you, where sometimes your loved ones can't. And not because they're not capable or don't want to. It's sometimes that's just not there. They've not been educated in that zone to tell you what to do. And that's where formal education in that field can truly help you and guide you. And you need professional assistance. You need to go there. And for that, the only thing I tell people is acknowledge it first. Acknowledge it to yourself, and you make sure that family members also are aware, and then you take that step that you have to.
Thank you for that question, actually, and thank you for that answer, Karan. A lot of us feel seen many times. So sorry. So there's a girl behind you, and she's really been waiting her own time. Thank you.
Thank you, Rohini. That's very gracious of you. Hi, Karan. I'm Vijayalakshmi.
Hi.
And my question to you is, each time when you think about combinations, because a lot of times, you know, the audience who have been watching your show religiously for all these years expect certain actors and certain people to grace the show. But for you, it's always about combinations and how. So I want to ask you, how are these thought through? Like, is it basis on relevance? Is it basis on social media chatter? Is it basis on the combinations? How are the combinations just thought out?
You forgot availability. And intent.
Yes.
There are two very important things that actually make combinations. One is their desire to actually come on the show. Second is their availability in that combination. The third is that you put up a set and you've got to finish it in a month and a half. And you've got to kind of, you know, those are external factors that people don't think. It's very easy for you to say, get A and B together. But are A and B in town during that time? Are they busy? Do they even want to come? You know, I can't force anyone to come on the show. They have to want to come. And sometimes they want to but are not in town and are genuinely busy and tied up, and they're not being able, B is not being able to match A, and A is not being able to perhaps match C that you have thought of. And then it's, as I said, it's availability, it's intent, it's infrastructure, it's so much goes into combining two people together. And that's the God's honest truth. Like, you know, everybody has said, why can't you get, you know, and I'm like, I'm not a magician. I cannot.
These are busy people.
I mean, you know, people make their own combinations in their head. But like, you please imagine that conversation between those two people, because it's not going to happen. For various reasons.
It's called a hypothetical coffee with Karan. All right. Oh, damn. I'm not. Don't shoot the messenger, but last question. Ma'am.
Can I ask?
Yes, sir. You already have a mic. So just go with your male privilege. Go for it.
Wow. Wow, that's a very nice thing to say.
No, the girls are seeming bummed.
Okay,
yeah.
I can give it to...
We'll take two questions.
No,
Please,
no,
please,
go for it, yeah. Come on, yeah.
अरे शर्माओ मत, पूछ लो.
Go for it.
मैं कहीं नहीं जाने वाला, आप ही के लिए आया.
Thank you so much, Karan. Karan, Vinay from Bombay Times. Of course, everybody's talking about their favorite parts of this season. for me, the most intimate and the most uh, beautiful part of this entire season was when you actually spoke about being single.
Yeah.
And you sort of teared up, and I remember watching that particular scene, and there was a roller coaster of emotions that went. I think that felt like you were a poet, and you just gave words to so many of us, and you just became a poet who just had an open mic. All of us could relate a lot to that particular thing, and I just feel it's such a hard thing to actually even open up about, because वो हो जाता ना कि मतलब अरे singlehood, this, that, you know what I mean. Talk to me a little bit about that. How is...
When I go back to that moment, I don't know how to relive it because it happened, as I said, just in the moment itself. What do I say to you? People tend to judge you by an impression they have of you, by what they know and see of you, but nobody really knows who the real person is behind any of the projected intent of that social public figure. We've always put out a version of ourselves, right? That's what our job is. When we give an interview or we promote a product, a film, you're out there, we protect our vulnerabilities. But then at one point of time, you grow older, you grow wiser, you evolve, and you feel like sharing a piece of your life is not as scary as it used to be. I've already written a book when I was 43 years old, which was 80% of what I could share. There is always a 20% that we'll hold back, and it's our prerogative too, because that will remain with our hearts forever. That moment was true because it is true. There is, I have 2 children. Obviously, I'm co-parenting them with my mom, not with a partner. And that means that I have a single status. And that single status is occupied, is filled in with a lot of work. I push in so much work in the day that I don't think about that status. And that's what we all do. When you're single and you're lonely and you're perhaps not wanting to address that loneliness, you pack in your day with things because you want to distract yourself from the core. And then you believe that if you have great friendships and a great family life, it can actually compensate for the lack of a passionate, intense romantic relationship. Nothing can replace that. You must understand, life is full of boxes. You know, parents fill one, children fill the other, friends fill the other. But there is a box for an intense love romantic relationship that if you don't experience, there is a sense of incompleteness that nothing can ever fulfill. And that loneliness can actually really kind of consume you, and it has consumed me. And I have not been in a relationship for very many years, a decade and more, and only I know what that really feels like. Fortunately for me, I can live vicariously through cinema. I can create those stories and characters that perhaps that I would like to kind of either romantically be inclined with or just fulfill that part of love and romance in my life. Not everybody has that leverage. I'm a filmmaker, I'm a storyteller. What I can't experience, I can write and execute on celluloid. And that to me is my biggest privilege, that of being a filmmaker.
Yeah, can we just take a minute? Thank you for that amazing question.
जी.
Okay.
मेरे से नहीं होता, मैं बहुत बार बैठ चुका हूँ उस काउच पे, कुछ नहीं होता. ये दूसरे लोग आते हैं और उनकी जिंदगी बन जाती है, उनकी शादी हो जाती है, सब कुछ हो जाता है, उनके रिलेशनशिप्स कामयाब होते हैं, कामिल होते हैं. मैं उस काउच पे बैठ के मैंने बहुत चीजें मांगी हैं, वो नहीं मिले हैं. I want to tell you that manifestation only works one way.
There's 3 people on this couch,
sorry.
so congratulations.
We'll do it quickly so I can. Hi. I have said this, I've been asked by the team much more than I've said it to cut things out. I have actually never wanted to cut stuff out because I feel like everybody else protects your interests much more than I have myself. I've kept things that maybe in retrospect I shouldn't have. But I feel like when somebody comes and says something and I have a natural response, I have to keep it all. You know, we cut out the boring banter which actually don't add up to anything. But things of consequence, we've never cut out. And I have never asked to remove anything that I have said that is too personal, or perhaps sometimes maybe an opinion that I feel will have repercussions and ramifications. It's all there. And there's proof of that. You've seen it. You've seen stuff that you could turn around and tell me, "Arey, ye rakha kyun? We're still bearing the brunt of it." But I said, I've kept it. I've kept it because they are your guests. वो आपके मेहमान हैं, वो आके कुछ कहते हैं, दिल से कहते हैं, दिमाग से कहते हैं, और जो भी कहते हैं उन्होंने कहा है, मैं वो नहीं निकाल सकता. That's the way I respect a guest on Coffee with Karan. Yes, ma'am.
We all missed him. Did you miss him too on the couch? We're talking about Mr. Shah Rukh Khan.
Oh, immensely. I miss, but I just know that if there's any megastar who has earned his right to speak when he needs to, it's Shah Rukh Khan. And I, of all the people, being his closest friend and family, should understand that. I just absolutely knew that, you know, everyone says that, you know, I have that leverage because he's family to me, that I can ask him and request, and he's never said no to me. And I don't want, so I never asked, because I know that he didn't want to be in that dilemmatic kind of like situation where he'd have to say no to me. Like whenever I've asked him, so I pick and choose what I ask for, because like he's somebody that matters the world to me, he's family to me, he's my older brother, he's everything. And I feel like I know when the right time is there, I will ask him, and I know when he has to want to speak, he will. And when he does, I know it will be extraordinary, because no one gives interviews better than Shah Rukh Khan. Nobody speaks better than him. When he speaks on a global platform or on a national platform, he is just the wizard of words, and truly the emperor of not just entertainment on screen, but also off screen. And a lot of our collective love for him is because of the man that he has been to us off screen. You know, so you love him as every character from Raj to Jawan, but like the Shah Rukh Khan that we all know, I mean, you can't, I don't know a single person that will be in a room with him and not walk out of the room weak-kneed or absolutely in love with him. Like that. I don't miss, because I have coffee with Karan nearly every night. So I have nearly every evening, Shah Rukh, Gauri, me and his family, we meet. So I'm having those conversations. I understand why you would miss him, but I'm satiated because he's a big, huge part of my daily existence and life.
Well, thank you so much, everybody, for joining in today.
Thank you. You know, I have to just end by saying that, firstly, thank you. Thank you for always being so kind and gracious. Thank you for always being like so vibrant and also so energized that you give that energy to the person you're sitting next to. Thank you to Disney Plus Hotstar, and special mention to Gaurav Banerjee and his entire team, who have been so absolutely amazing. Right through the journey of Coffee with Karan, to Mr. Madhavan, who actually he's been our guiding light at Disney Plus Hotstar, and to Janvi and the entire team of Coffee with Karan, to everyone, my marketing team, to Nilofer, to all of them who have been stalwarts and pillars of Coffee with Karan and have stood tall. And special thanks to even Len, who has been with me right through, and like also big thanks to all of you, you know, who've actually given the show love. Even when I've read large columns of criticism on the episode, I'm like, wow, somebody took so much time to dissect a talk show, and I'm like, that is so gratifying to even read. Like, and like I'm like, this particular episode bored me to tears, but why are you writing 5 pages on it? Like, if it bored you to tears, then why have you written so much? Like, if it bored you to tears, you should have switched it off. You have that remote in your hand. But I'm very gratified by the love, the criticism, the analysis, and also the consistency of the fact that maybe, if all else fails, I know I'll always be a host on Coffee with Karan. It's great solace for me to keep. Thank you guys. Thank you.